The further we get into this Goodmark car, the more amazing stuff you see. Why did this trunk pan completely rust out while these are in perfectly good shape?
Yeah, no
It's
kidding, Tom.
that...
Heavier gauge steel doesn't rust as quick as light gauge steel. But before you put in the trunk pan, there's one thing that you should know, a little trick. Use a zinc-rich primer on anything that you're going to weld in. It protects the other side of the steel. The zinc-rich primer allows you to weld on it. I'm going to take you through the steps, not much different than doing the floors, but I'm also going to teach you a new trick about a grinding disc here. We're going to start out with a grinding disc and an air chisel, and we're going to take out the rear tail light panel. All we want to do is take it right out of the way. Then we're going to take out the filler, brace, and lay in the trunk pan for the first time. Now what we're going to do is use masking tape to outline roughly where we want to lay in the trunk pan. Now we're going to start trimming the old trunk pan off, and again we start just cutting out rough. We'll hammer and dolly all of the braces and we'll lay in the trunk pan another time. Now we're going to clamp it in, we're going to use the tape and say, okay, this is roughly where we want to have the trunk pan. We're going to get underneath, scribe it with where the frame rails are so we know roughly where to drill for the spot welds. Now we can trim the trunk pan according to the masking tape. Clean it off on both sides. Drill a couple of pilot holes, and these holes here we're going to actually brace it or screw it down to the braces. And now we can scribe the trunk itself so it matches the trunk panel perfectly. We'll remove the trunk pan one more time. Use that cutoff wheel, that Norton wheel and the grinding disc. We're using them all the time here. Have a box ready because you will go through these. Now we're going to start drilling the spot weld holes. We're going to measure carefully where the original ones were and drill out all the spot weld holes. We're going to take off all the rough edges. Clean off the edge where we're going to butt weld the trunk pan in and lay it in one last time. Now we can tack it into place. Remember we had it screwed in before? Take out the bolt and finish that off with the MIG welder. Same thing along the back edge where the taillight panel is going to go. Clean off the edges on the quarter panel. Use the zinc-rich primer again. Now we're ready to try the taillight panel. We're going to clamp that into place. Again, use a sheet metal screw. Hold it in place. We're going to put the trunk lid on. Make sure it fits perfectly. You don't want the taillight panel hitting the trunk lid. When that's ready, we can fill those holes like an original spot weld, grind it off, and there's the trunk finished.